Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode number, I'm not entirely sure. I did not check, but that's absolutely fine. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, and I am here with my good friend. Finally, here again with my good friend. I feel like, in fact, I never usually do this, but I'm going to... Yes! I don't like touching people, but there we go.
I'm very touchy, so I like it.
Hello, Mike. How's it going?
Alive? Thank fuck.
You look well.
Thank you. I know you said that you spotted me. You were at a party next door to my house the other week, and you seen in your own words, I look dead.
You look like a dead person.
I wasn't very well. I actually got worse, but I think that I was sick so violently on Thursday that I got everything out of my system. So I'm getting better. I'm not better yet. I'm still pretty tired, pretty run down, but it was a bit of a combination of things.
You pulled out of a gig, didn't you?
I didn't make it to Cardiff last Saturday, that's right.
Poor Mark Loveridge went to hang out with you and instead had to listen to Party Cannon for no payoff.
I know. Saying that, I think he spoke to a few of the band members. Yeah. I mean, he was talking away. He kept texting me during the night. He was speaking about loads of different bands and stuff. It was class. I think he was like one of the first people in the venue.
He's such a character.
He just texted me saying, found my seat for the night, and there was a picture of him at the bar. Good times, man. I was quite gutted to miss the gig, but I was ill.
Yeah.
And it got worse and worse. So as the days went on, because I was being sick and I couldn't hold food down, I wasn't able to take my meds. So I was then getting the side effect of weaning off them.
Sure.
And then when I eventually could start eating again, which was maybe Friday, yesterday, possibly Saturday, all the side effects come back on as you're weaning back on.
Wow.
So.
Hellish. Absolutely hellish.
Nah, just a laugh.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw you on Saturday, as I said, you looked completely dead. So when Sunday and Monday rolled around and I'm like, so what's happening? And you were like, I think I'm too ill. Normally I'd be annoyed, but because I'd seen you, I was like, fair play. Like,
verified.
Can confirm. Can confirm. To be honest, don't want to sit in a room with him for an hour right now.
That was part of my logic about going to Cardiff as well. I was like, even if I felt well enough, I am not going to feel good about making 4 other guys shit and sick all over with each other. Yeah. It would make for a great album cover, but
it would.
The deadline's gone.
I mean, it would be great for the album release party, though, if you could somehow make everybody pissing, shitting and vomiting. Yeah.
I'm just going to hand out Ipecac at the launch show, see if we can get everybody to spew on command.
Yeah. For those that haven't checked out, of course, the new Party Cannon video did drop this week.
Yeah, the Cat Cafe playthrough for Nauseating and Unpalatable.
Yep. It is, as described, nauseating and unpalatable.
And there are cats.
Slightly more palatable by the cats appearing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really like cats, so you are still the best thing in the video.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks. Obviously, we did let's address the elephant in the room. We did a video last week without you.
I want to address this one comment that you've mentioned that's got me infuriated. What is this positive change in accent? Fuck you guys. Nah, I'm kidding on.
I mean, I can't really argue with that.
No, it's fair.
Yeah.
I'm indecipherable to myself at times.
It's fun because I feel silly actually because you're looking as I say, you're looking well, you're looking handsome, and I opened the episode last week with I've got some good news, guys, and I've got some bad news. Mike is not well enough to make the show this week, but I still wanted to bring you a show. I thought it would be a shame for you to, not have something to listen to on a Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
I had toyed with doing our first episode of Does Metal Have Soul, but I was like, no, too much preparation. We'll just talk about stuff. But obviously, Mel doesn't really know anything about metal. So we had a show where we weren't talking about metal, which a lot of people enjoyed as well. But I said, to make up for the fact that Melissa doesn't know anything about metal and not all that much about guitars, she knows half as much as Mike when it comes to those things. She is 3 times prettier to look at. But actually, now being sat next to you, maybe not.
Nah, I don't agree with that. Mel's definitely more pretty than me.
Yeah.
Definitely better looking. There's no doubt about it.
But
thanks.
I do prefer her, I'll be honest. So we have a show for you today. A strange one, actually, because there's no main story. There's nothing that we can really get our teeth into as a main story. So we've just got a bunch of kind of small stories that we can talk about. Maybe one of them you'll consider a main story. I mean, I guess whatever we do last will technically be a main story. There is that the vinyl low fidelity thing that you posted in our group, so I guess we can look at that last.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just occurred to me that at the start of this episode I did not do a sync point, so that's going to be fun for me to. In fact, I'm going to do one right now.
Do it right now and then just find it. So you need to remember that your sync point is 5 minutes and 40 into the video.
Yeah, and I'll be able to see the massive spike in the audio to find it.
So you'll be fine. Just note that down and you'll be good.
I mean, I ain't
Consummate professionals,
noting
bro.
shit down.
Keep saying it. Consummate professionals.
I mean, the better way of doing that would have been, guys, did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string, I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at both Ormsby Guitars and Rev Amplification. I've built my new pedal board and I'm using the Rev G20 as my amp for my upcoming gig stuff. Because it's 20 watts, it's loud enough. Beautiful, loud, clean tone, which is what I need. I'm not playing metal on it. I'm playing soul music on it. So I've got a light bit of compression, reverb, and then a couple of modulation effects to add a bit of sparkle to my sound. It's absolutely glorious. I love it. Last episode we did talk about my Rusty Cooley signature, the RC1, which is there. I showed it off to everybody, and it's great. But let's do the same for yours.
Mm-hmm.
For those that missed the bonus episode, of course, you can go and check out the bonus episode by supporting us on Buy Me a Coffee, link in the description. You can give us just $1 over there, and it will give you access to all of our bonus shows.
I apologise because my guitar is not very clean. It's not been played in a week and a bit because I have been ill, which is a complete travesty when you get a new guitar, if you ask me.
So here we have...
He or she fucking is.
Yeah, a Tuxedo Black, right?
Tuxedo Black.
Tuxedo Black,
Gold
Ormsby Goliath 7-string.
Yes.
Stunner. It's heavy, isn't it? Well, heavy compared to my Goliath.
That was the thing that we both noticed. It can't be chambered.
Yeah.
It must be a solid body because my 6-string and your 7-string are both like lifting paper.
Yeah. Yeah,
versus this feels like a solid guitar. It's not heavy.
My 7-string is £5 at 8. So when I say it's heavy, that's unfair. It's not heavy. It's heavier than the other Goliaths we have. Not chambered, but beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's got that kind of class. I like the name for the color, Tuxedo Black. I mean, it's just black, but tuxedo implies classy, and it's just classy. Cannot wait to see what you do to ruin it with some god awful tape that you find somewhere.
How did you know? How did you know? No, I did. I've already considered putting stuff on it, and I'm like, but I quite like the simplicity of it just being black and gold.
It's so pristine.
I mean, see when it's wiped down and it's actually polished, it is gorgeous. It's really, really nice.
The only thing I think that I would do on that in order to improve is the wrong word, but let's say highlight, would be to add more gold to it. So we talked about it on the bonus episode, but like a Party Cannon logo in gold would... I
would love to get some gold foil Party Cannon stuff.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty pimping.
That would be really cool to have, I guess, here? Be the safest spot?
I would think I'd probably rub that away with my arm. I'd probably put something here. Saying that, it's a bit of unique body shape to start putting decals on.
Yeah.
You know what I think would be fucking beautiful on it, actually, and I've just thought about?
Go on.
See if I can get somebody to laser cut me some gold paisley.
Oh, the whole paisley and the whole thing.
Can you imagine that?
Outrageous.
Tell me that'd be banging.
Oh, it'd be absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, we'll have to do it. Right, okay, cool. Right, it's done.
Okay, cool. So let's move on to a bit of fan mail. Jeffrey Tamita.
Hello, Jeffrey.
Has written in, and he starts out by talking directly to you. So take it away.
Hello, gentlemen. I hope that Mike is doing well. After hearing that he fell ill, I wanted to write in and send my well wishes. Oh, thanks very much.
We have
Most
the best listeners.
Absolutely. Too kind. Melissa, you helped fill the void that Mike Free Monday left, and I absolutely loved the episode. That's good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Mike couldn't bring himself to listen to it. He would have burst into tears.
I would have actually watched it were I not ill.
Yeah.
And I've not had a chance to catch up with it, so the fuck can you do? I've been listening to the old episodes, and this week's talk of streaming royalties reminded me of a video game that you previously discussed where the developers created a Spotify playlist rather than licensing songs for their soundtrack.
I still think this is a really interesting.
What game was that again?
It was Burnout?
It was Burnout, you're right.
Yeah.
Because it was quite a
or
major
spiritual
license.
spiritual successor to
Burnout.
Yeah.
I recalled thinking that it sounded like a shitty idea for musicians because it would really benefit artists who were at the beginning of the playlist, but would be a terrible deal for those at the end of a 3+ hour playlist. I'm curious as to whether your attitudes towards this type of musical use have changed. I ask knowing that I have a 20-hour playlist of my favourite songs and know that there is no possible way I would ever listen to the entire list of songs while sitting through a gaming session and realise about 60 minutes of music is all I could muster in the context of gaming. #dadlife. You know it, Jeffrey. Keep up the great work, eat the rich and fuck the Tories. From the States. Thanks very much, Jeffrey.
So I think that Jeffrey misses a key thing here. I think anybody, and I'm not a fan of it. We actually talked about it on the show last episode, but you weren't here.
Adele,
yeah.
Aye, I know where you're going with it.
So I don't use Shuffle on Spotify at all. I don't listen to playlists either. If I were going to be listening to a playlist, I would absolutely put it on Shuffle. So I think the idea, the whole Adele thing just doesn't make sense as a story to me. Her coming forward and having Spotify remove Shuffle as being the auto way of playing albums. It's not the auto way of playing albums. It's not the auto way of playing albums for me. When I could go on an album on Spotify now and press play on it, and I promise you it won't play in Shuffle
That runs
mode.
sequential. Yeah.
Yeah.
How it's supposed to.
Yeah, it's because that's how I have my Spotify set. So I guess what it's saying is most people use Shuffle for everything. Now when they go to an album page, it'll automatically switch to sequential play unless they tell it to go on Shuffle like fucking animals. Point is, for playlists, I think they should be on Shuffle anyway. So in the example that Jeffrey has talked about here, I think if you have a 3-hour playlist that you would have on while playing a video game, the artists at the front of the playlist shouldn't get any preferential treatment over the artists at the end of the playlist.
I'm very much I like the idea of shuffling big playlists, and I'm the same as you. I don't do it very often, but if, for example, anytime I've been going on holiday and there's been a long drive, I'll be like, right, cool, let's put 5 albums each into a playlist and we'll just shuffle it, and that'll do us the full trip. If there's songs we don't like, we'll just skip them. We don't have to fuck with whatever else is on. I think shuffle is the great equaliser in that regard. Yeah. In regards to who's going to get the fairest chance of getting a listen.
Yeah.
But
as for the question about have we changed our minds on the video game thing, it's difficult to say whether or not one has changed one's mind. One, I don't know why I'm oneing here. Why one has changed one's mind.
One is retrospectively changing and having some introspection in regards to whether one believes.
I am British. I am English.
Yes, you are.
At the end of the day. So
but that's not your accent. Come on, get your real accent out. Come on.
Oh, you don't like talking too much like that. Actually, Melissa's come up with a great idea for a film, which is Tractor Dracula, where Dracula moves into Suffolk, and it's a comedy horror film where the locals have got to learn how to deal with Dracula. So it's like they go in for they have like a town meeting at 7 o'clock at night to talk about what they're going to do about Dracula. And the first question is, did anybody think to maybe have this meeting during the day when Dracula couldn't show up and guess? And also, where the bloody hell did he get a castle from in Suffolk? Tractor Dracula coming to you guys in 2022, maybe.
It's very hot fuzzish. I'm into it. Very much into it.
Yeah. It's weird because I'm doing like a really stereotypical thick Suffolk accent there, combine harvester, that sort of thing. But also, it also sounds like that Suffolk sound just sounds very Yorkshire, and
it's authentic enough.
Yeah. It's because that's where I'm from.
Funnily enough.
Yeah. Anyway, so
it's a bit like Chris farted in the car once when we were going to a gig or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, it smells like shit for some reason." Like, yes, for some reason, Chris. We joke about it all the time.
I thought you were going to say he farted in an accent. Like,
That's French.
yeah, good work. So yeah, I don't know how one changes one's opinion on things like this, because I think when a story like this comes up, maybe it's even hard to remember exactly what your opinion was when you talked about it before.
Yeah.
I can only say that, you know, how I feel about this now and assume that it was the same as how I felt about it then. I think it's very interesting as a concept. I think I do understand that there's pros and cons to it. Like, it's handy for game development studios who don't have the big budget to license a track for play. But then you have to say, you know, reasonably, why would you license a track? Why would you spend it? Because licensing tracks for video games is really, really expensive. Why would you go to that expense in an expensive field anyway? The creating of video games, when you can just create a Spotify playlist. There's a disparity there in terms of how much money artists can make, and I don't fully understand how or why you can't really insert a fence to separate those two things. Either people are going to be playing your music over video games, or the company is going to be selecting your music to be played over video games. Why is one of those massively profitable to the artist and one of them is insignificant to the artist? It's complicated, but interesting.
It's really complicated, and it is really interesting. I don't know where I fall on this one, and I don't know if that changes, as you said. I can't remember exactly what I said at the time, but there might be a bit of class consciousness involved in my answer, as always, you know, not me getting political or anything.
Yeah.
I would think that if it was an indie developer, I would be cool with that, because that's them just like being clever with their budget, trying to put music out, maybe even showcasing other artists and bands that are about the same level as them in terms of like game development studios or whatever.
Sure.
Trying to support other underground acts or underground art would be cool.
Yeah.
But if you've got somebody like EA who's refusing to pay for the sponsorship just because they can avoid it, I think I would have a completely different take on it.
Yes.
But that doesn't boil down to the act being wrong. It's the motivation behind it, I suppose.
Sure.
So I guess until we understand why the company might not have done so. I think we did in this. I'm sure they said in this one it was to avoid paying the big stupid money to license the songs. It'd be hard to say the exact motive. Well, no, really. It's a business.
Yeah. Well, from a publishing perspective, I just feel that if you're, because you have to request a license. You contact the song owner's publisher and request a license to have it featured in a video game, and they're going to give you a quote for a price. And I just feel that this is like a very obvious and totally reasonable negotiation tool, which is, I'm sorry, you want £40,000 for your song to be featured in our video game. Well, here's an alternative for you. How about you do it for 10,000, or we'll just make a Spotify playlist and put your stuff on it. And that's not a like gun to your head scenario. It's very much a like, you need to work out a way to make your pricing as competitive as possible and as convenient as possible for people, because we actually don't need to pay you anything. We can just make a Spotify playlist, and it's totally legal, and I don't even know if it's morally grey. I'm really unsure on it myself, and I guess being unsure on it means that it is pretty grey.
I think it's pretty immoral. I think that's a bit of a shitty line in the sense that we both know as musicians, in terms of art, we are devalued to the maximum.
Yes.
That people will know the price of an album, but not the value.
Yes.
People know the price of going to see a gig, not the value.
Yep.
Etc. Etc. Right? Without fucking labouring the point. It's hard enough to make a living as a musician, to then get squeezed at the other end, and that'd be even if the record label's away fighting the corner for you. So you ask, I want 40 grand, and then they turn around and say, well, actually, we'll give you 10 and that's it. The chances are the record label's probably taking the majority of that money anyway, so they're going to come back and go, sorry guys, that was it. Oh well, can't get much more for you. There's fucking 30 quid.
Yeah, well, but ultimately in that scenario it ends up bad for record labels and bad for publishers anyway, so it is a shit show, and you're totally right on the kind of devaluing of music thing. It's just, I think if you look back to what you would pay for a CD 20 years ago versus what you would pay for a CD now, and actually if you go back even further than 20 years, when CDs first became the medium that was starting to take off, they were quite expensive compared to now.
But that's probably because it was new technology.
well, new technology, not necessarily that it was new technology and therefore was considerably more expensive to produce, but that's exactly the point that I guess I'm trying to make, which is it's new and exciting, and there's no point in now if I'm selling a CD, I don't look at it and go, oh fuck, I used to be able to exploit this market considerably more than I can now. I should be able to get £25 for a CD like you could back in the mid-90s. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's I think that the it's funny. I never thought I'd
Roll
agree
with the
with this
times.
position. Well, it's this idea that we talked about on the show before, where this era of the music industry that we're in now versus where it was 30 years ago, and we're looking to try and fix how it fix how it is now to make it how it used to be, and that addressing that actually how it was before was a blip in the industry, where musicians were actually able to exploit the amount of money they could make to a ridiculous level. Trying to match up to that is unrealistic, and I think that £40,000, or we're just throwing a number out there to have your song appear in a video game, when I think, I'm not going to say most, but I think the integration of Spotify on PlayStation and on Xbox, and of course if you're gaming on PC, like it's never been an issue. It's never been easier to just mute the audio in a game anyway and just play the music that you want to listen to, because let's be fucking realistic on this, there are some games that you like where the soundtrack is garbage, and even if the soundtrack to a game is good, assuming we're talking like songs, popular songs that are featured rather than like ambient sound, it's so easy to listen to what you like listening to rather than what the developers thought you might like listening to. So
I'll give Grand Theft Auto, or Rockstar in general, a good nod, because they seem to have hit almost every major genre of music, but then not went with just the music you would expect. They went with kind of slightly outliers of things you might like. When they built, like, my example being Grand Theft Auto, the radio stations, really cleverly done, because it wasn't necessarily just songs that were the first thing you would think of, but they were very much fitting to the game and the ambience round about the radio station, and having like the DJs on there, going from having Laszlo as a daft in joke to having genuinely having fucking Bootsy Collins do a voiceover for a record station playing funk.
I mean, that stuff was absolutely excellent, but there's 2 points I'd like to raise on the Grand Theft Auto thing.
Yeah.
One is we all had a favourite station. There was no like, oh, let's just go into the car and we'll have the music on shuffle. Let's listen to everything.
Did you never listen to a bit of everything?
A tiny bit, tiny bit, but
more often than not, you would be turning it to like the metal station.
Yeah,
or
I'm putting on the rock radio. So
I really like the country one. All my exes live in Texas.
The point is, I'm going for, and I think most people are going for the music that they enjoy the most. So again, why not a Spotify playlist? But the second point was, and this came up in the Discord server, we were talking about the new Rockstar, the Grand Theft Auto trilogy re-release, remaster, right?
Yes.
And someone said, I'd be interested in this, but only if the music was the same as it was in the original. And I was like, you know what, that's an interesting one. I'm not entirely sure if it is. I would imagine it probably wouldn't be, just because it won't be guaranteed that they'll be able to get all of the same licensed tracks. But then my first response was, give me 2 seconds. I absolutely guarantee that there's Spotify playlists for every single game, and there is. So again, Spotify and the way that consumers can consume music now has removed the need to license music. Grand Theft Auto Rockstar, when they did this Grand Theft Auto remasters, there's absolutely no reason in the world, other than for convenience of people that don't know how to integrate Spotify into their gaming sessions, there's no reason in the world for them to go to the effort and expense of licensing all that music again, when they can just say, go check out our Spotify playlists.
I actually think, see, when you're talking about like putting Spotify or integrating Spotify into your gameplay.
Yep.
I think developers kiboshed that themselves, because if you remember, one of the selling points of the original Xbox was the fact that you could store media on it and you could play it through games.
Yeah.
And there was a few games that was it True Crime, Street CLA, where the radio station, you could pick a station that just played the music off your hard drive.
Right.
I think there might have been one of the Grand Theft Autos where you could load your music in, and the idea was it would just like shuffle, but it would be like a radio station of the songs that you've chose. Sure. There was a couple of games like that, and a couple of games that tried to utilise it, and then it just went silent. So I would think that was just as much killed by the video games industry as it was the music industry.
I think that's us on that subject, though. So thank you very much for your email, Jeffrey.
Thanks, Jeffrey. It's nice to hear from you, buddy.
As always, please do send us fan mail, content for the show to GsolesFanMail@gmail.com.
Discussion prompts.
I wanted to talk about this
because we are disgusting.
Yeah, I wanted to discuss this on the show last week because it was relevant. It was new at the time. This is from the 16th. But obviously Melissa has absolutely no idea here. So this is an Opeth story.
But this is prog. This is closer to fucking soul and jazz and R&B than metal. So,
I mean, the direction Opeth have been heading in over the last few years, you may have a fair point there.
Even if I don't like Opeth's more modern stuff, I really respect the fact that they just keep doing whatever they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And although Michael Ackerfeld's probably the most boring man live, he is. I'm sorry. I saw Opeth and I saw Bloodbath, with him on vocals. And the best he could do to muster up a bit of difference between the Opeth set and the Bloodbath set was he wore a leather jacket and corpse paint. So this intense fucking death metal band, and he's just walking about going on stage, but just walking about. Like, no man, a bit of ferocity, come on. But you know, anyway, sorry. Opeth, this is an official tweet. Due to conflict of interest, Martin Axelrod is no longer part of the Opeth collective. His replacement for the North American tour with Mastodon and Zealand Ardor will be powerhouse drummer Sami Karppinen. Who's that? I know that name.
No idea.
His first show will take place today, November 16th, at Harrah's Cherokee Centre in Asheville. Where's that? North Carolina. I'm always really bad for states.
Sure.
It said Michael Ackerfeld. However sad it is not to have Axe in the band anymore, we're not in a position to linger on anything that's going to hold us back. We need to soldier on. Needless to say, we're incredibly thankful that Sammy is helping us out, making this tour possible at all. On top of that, he's quite outstanding, really. He continues, all of us wish the best for Axe and all of his future endeavours. He has been an incredibly important part of the band for many years now, and we're all heartbroken it didn't work out in the end. But that's life, I guess.
That's a really weird post just because of that middle bit, he continues. Like, is this a statement that you're releasing, or is this someone else quoting you on something that you've said? Very strange.
It seems like he's been giving an interview and they've went, by the way, that's summed up quite well. Will we just copy and paste it? Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why
nothing's
been said about why
nothing has been said about it? And let's be really
realistic. Band, or has he
here.
been put out?
He's no longer part of the Opeth collective, is the way they've put it. And conflict of interests, but this was announced on the day of the show, so this must have been fucking heated. And the speculation, and of course it is absolutely just speculation, is that it will be COVID related. It will be vaccines and things like that.
I hope not, man. I really don't want to see this being a weird. Do you think there's going to be like a subgenre of music where it's going to be like COVID positive and COVID negative music? Genuinely, right? Like. Because I think there's a lot of people who think they are freedom fighters of some degree because that is how the rhetoric and the propaganda generally starts. You don't want to get the vaccine because you're not a sheeple, you are a leader, and you know what I mean? When it becomes weaponized.
Yeah. It's strange because me as a person, just because I'm staunchly pro-choice, staunchly about
we
freedom.
Don't say staunch in Central Scotland, son. We don't say staunch.
Okay, fine.
That basically means unbelievably Protestant.
Okay.
And that would horrible Protestant.
That wouldn't work for you, you dirty Tim.
It doesn't bother me. Excuse me, that'll be Fenian or Tague. Tarrier if you're really going to go for it.
Yeah, so...
by the way, those words might actually get demonetised. So
we don't monetise the show. So.
Even better.
Yeah.
So anyone who was offended there, I'm sorry. I am actually Catholic, so don't worry about it. Although I'm a lapsed Catholic.
Heavily lapsed. So...
Do you know that terminology?
No.
So, I believe, given how big sectarianism is in Scotland and was... Sorry, going on a tangent. Fucking Billy Connolly here. When you used to like apply for jobs and stuff, and you would... Or like if you were doing... whatever sort of paperwork or whatever, you know, sometimes they ask you like your sex and
nationality,
exactly right, and then obviously your religion, your religious status. One of the options used to be a lapsed Catholic, which is essentially you're a Catholic but you don't practice anymore, so like your faith has lapsed, but it's like quite a bad terminology. It's like seen as quite negatively, and I don't really get it. I don't get why that would be seen as negative. Like, surely faith's all personal. Like, if you really are like a devout Catholic.
No, it's not. That's not true. Faith is personal, but organised religion is not about being personal. It's like you're either part of the club or you're not. And the Catholic Church is very well known for not letting you leave. You're just lapsed.
It's a boys' club.
Yeah,
in some degree.
I like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I was saying about the vaccine thing is like I'm well, actually fucking shit show on this one.
You still not got sorted?
I've still not got my second vaccine, and they don't know when they're going to be able to give it to me. You can't book an appointment; they book one for you. Melissa's got one because she's registered in Glasgow. They just don't know when they're going to be able to offer me one, and they've changed the vaccine status for clubs and things in Scotland now as of next week.
Or you don't need it.
You don't need the vaccine passport, right? You need a negative lateral flow. Do not for a second think that that's for any reason other than they've realised that they cannot deliver vaccines to people in Scotland. They cannot get people vaccinated. So telling people you can't go places unless you're vaccinated, but also we can't vaccinate you, would be a dangerously dumb thing. Also, I imagine venues are starting to kick up a fuss because it's like we're having to turn away people, tons of people, not just people that refuse to get vaccinated, but people that want to get vaccinated that can't. You are putting us out of business. Anyway, while I'm pro-vaccine, that any time something comes up where the government is telling me you have to do something, I immediately just get on my fucking, hey, fuck you, don't tell people what to do. It's not even don't tell me what to do. I'll make my choices and I'll make the smartest choices, but don't tell people what to do with their bodies. That's not right. It's just not right. Go and get vaccines, people. I'm telling you what to do with your bodies, but me giving you my opinion is very different than the government telling you what you have to do, and that's
there's a difference between a suggestion in legislature.
Yeah, so fingers crossed we don't end up there. But
I don't think we're quite crossing the Rubicon yet, mate. I think we're I'm not saying that we're not seeing signs of it, but I don't think we're there yet.
But I agree with you. We're absolutely not there. But there are several countries in Europe now that have mandated vaccines. Like you have to get a vaccine, and that's worrying.
Yeah, I agree. And that's me. You and I are both pro-vaccine.
Yeah,
but I am not. I don't know how confident I am in the government just saying you have to do it and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of considerations for people whether they want to or not, or whether they can or not.
Yeah.
Did you see this thing about, was it a couple of South African states in Britain have stopped the tourism? They've dropped. I think they've made it.
We've put 4 more countries
on
red zones because there's a new COVID variant.
A new variant. Yeah. Have you seen what their response to that was?
No.
Essentially, we think that's a bit leery. I mean, think about tourism. That was basically it. No mention of the new variant then, just like, I think he's a really been a bit silly here. You're jumping the gun.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you need to actually pay attention to the main reason why they've stopped. Flights, cunt. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Speaking of cunts.
I like that. Yeah, good segue. This is a again quick story because I'm tired of talking about this shit. But Nevermind Baby, a men's lawsuit includes Kurt Cobain's obscene album cover notes from journals.
See, to be fair, right, the problem I've got here is this adds some weight to the nonsense he said. If
you remember, there was when we first covered this story, there was a lot of talk about what Kurt's original concept for the album was, and it was to be considerably more disgusting, though not including live babies and things like that. And in the end, the photographer was like, "Well, I don't think that there's going to be a way that we can do that, but actually, I think like we could do something arty." So this isn't surprising. To turn around and go, well, originally Kurt wanted something more disgusting. Guess what? The disgusting thing didn't happen.
I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right.
People could look at the artwork for In Utero and say that's disgusting. Like,
oh, totally. Like, I'm not saying that it changes the context of that specific bit of artwork. I think the pain in the arse is that the allegations that this fucking Spencer is making and the way it's being worded, what they've got here kind of plays into it.
Yeah,
potentially. Anyway, I will read more if that's all right very quickly. Scrubby bit, yeah, please. So we're talking about Spencer Eldon. Back in August, it was revealed that Spencer Eldon, the baby from the cover of Nirvana's massive 1991 album Nevermind, was suing the band's remaining members and Kurt Cobain's estate, claiming that his image on the album cover is a form of child pornography. I think we'll just not go much further than that. Obviously, he was trying to sue about 25 people for 15 million each. Yeah. Loads of people have been stopped on that. They've dropped off, I believe it was ex-management from Nirvana and somebody else that was to do with the Cobain's estate or whatever. So
I just really take issue with this verbiage here, where it's like the cover was always meant to be sexual in nature. It just doesn't matter if something is intended to be sexual in nature. If something's intended to be sexy or not, right? It really just
that's
doesn't
sexual
matter.
in nature, Levi.
There's a line. Something is either pornography or it's not. There are people that will find the strangest things in the world sexy. You know, you can't just say, "Oh, well, Kurt found this sexy, therefore it's pornography," and Kurt didn't find this sexy. But you know what I mean? Like, it's either pornography or it's not. It doesn't matter what the intention was.
It's definitely got child nudity,
or
but
it's
it's not child
Yeah.
pornography.
Yeah.
I think that there is no sexual undercurrent to that.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve any purpose other than showing a child naked, but not in any sexual way. At least in my mind, I don't know. I'm not the fucking. I can't think of the word. I want to say harbinger, but that's not right.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Anyway,
read the story.
So, for those of you who don't remember, Eldon's suit claimed that his appearance on the album cover has caused him lifelong damages, and his legal guardians never signed a release authorising the use of any image of Spencer or his likeness, and certainly not of commercial child pornography depicting him. That's not what happened.
There's no such thing as commercial child pornography. You raised that point last time.
Eldon is also suing for distribution of private sexually explicit materials, negligence, and what's described as a sex trafficking venture, where Eldon was forced to engage in commercial sexual acts while under the age of 18 years old. So they're totally grasping at straws here.
Yeah. What sexual acts were you forced to engage in?
I'm going to skip on a wee bit because it's really the rest of it, these two paragraphs that got my interest in it. Because realistically, the case, I don't give a fuck about it. A guy who's now super salty that Nirvana didn't come to his art shows, suing Nirvana for all that fame that he's had all his life, that he's lent into and made himself cool about and has tattoos about and has reenacted and made money off in different fucking ventures, has suddenly decided, well, I'm not really that cool with it. The easiest way to go round about it, if you were actually bothered about the nudity on the case, would be any further prints have to come with a sleeve that covers my body, or I don't want that art being used if I can remove it. Anything outside of that's just grasping at straws.
Yeah.
Anyway. However, it includes claims that Eldon was later dressed up and posed as Playboy founder Hugh Hefner, suggesting the photo shoot was inherently sexual. Proof, please. Cite sources. Also claims the photographer Kirk Weddle provoked Spencer's gag reflex before throwing him underwater in poses highlighting and emphasising Spencer's exposed genitals.
That's worded in a very strange way, kind of implying that somehow the provoking his gag reflex somehow does something to his genitals, but there's a run-on sentence. They're not related.
Basically what it says here is that they're specifically intending on triggering a visceral sexual response from the viewer. I don't know anybody that gets a visceral sexual response from seeing a child in a pool swimming.
Yeah. And also, let's go to the Hugh Hefner claim, right? Unless the baby is dressed up as Hugh Hefner while two Playboy dolls, is that
Playboy buddies?
There we go. See, Playboy buddies, playmates. There we go. While two playmates are playing with his dick, it's not pornography.
And worse yet, he wouldn't be responsible for any of that because he's a child.
Yeah, and he
doesn't know the concept of a good touch and a bad touch. he hasn't ever dealt with the security at Playboy Mansion.
So, but even then, even if that was a photo shoot that took place, so fucking what? That's not inherently sexual in nature. That's a massive dichotomy between two things, and that's cool. Like, here's an old man being the old creepy man, sexy man, but here's something really innocent dressed up as that thing, and the juxtaposition of those two things placed against each other is inherently like, oh, it's interesting what you're trying to say here. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna go and crank the fucking hog to this picture. That's dumb. That's.
Wasn't expecting that sentence there. That was good.
Sorry, carry on.
It's all right. So perhaps worst of all, if they are real, are undated journal entries from Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain, which allegedly outline a vulgar original vision of the Nevermind album cover. I mean, so the rest of this is a quote. Undated journals written by Cobain sketched the album cover in a sexual manner with semen all over it. In several instances, the journals describe Cobain's twisted vision for the Nevermind album cover, along with his emotional struggles. I like to make incisions into the belly...
Here's some cherry picking.
I know. I like to make incisions into the belly of infants, then fuck the incision until the child dies. Now, that's pretty death metal for a grunger.
Yeah, it's an inherently disgusting thing to say. But again, I love the way it's just been presented completely out of context. And you know what? Again,
I don't think there's much context that you can put to that does make it all right, but I get you. It's still not the album cover.
Well,
it's still not involved in the album cover. It's still not
yeah.
anything to do with Spencer Eldon and how he was photographed and the photo that he's involved in.
You know what, Spencer? Even if the album artwork that they did go with did feature the exact same photo, but then also covered the album cover in semen, right? While that's adding sexual layers to it, it doesn't suddenly make it pornography. It just simply doesn't make it pornography. It's that's not porn. It's distasteful, you know. I don't like the idea, but again, there's a statement there, and the statement isn't necessarily we like to fuck kids, you should like to fuck kids, you should crank the hog to this fucking picture of a kid. It's depravity, and there's a lot of that in Nirvana imagery. It doesn't.
They've got a song called "Rape Me."
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't quote a line from that. Yeah, strange.
There's lots of Nirvana that's dark as fuck.
Yeah. So
the guy was out his nut and heroin and ready to shoot his own head off. Like, of course there was going to be weird lyrics.
Yeah, let's just do the last sentence.
Sorry, I wasn't going to shoot his own head off. That's not true. Eldon then goes on to say his mind began to change when Nirvana were uninterested in taking part of his art show, saying, "Why am I still on their cover if I'm not a big of a deal?"
There's a quote. Yeah, there's the quote, right? I'm still on the cover, but I'm not a big deal.
You never were.
That's the way photography works.
You are not Nirvana.
Yeah.
You are not the album, never mind.
You are not the artist. You are merely a subject. You are not a creator in any way, shape, or form. And you want to wax philosophical on this. That baby on the cover of Nevermind doesn't exist anymore as an entity. All its cells have been replaced at this point. That entity no longer exists. The sentience might still be there, but everything about that thing no longer exists. So, yeah, you're not that big a deal because you're not a big deal. And you're trying to make yourself a big deal, but you've made yourself look like a big walloper. So, should we have a wee giggle?
Oh, as always.
Yeah.
Wes Scantlin's himself in latest onstage meltdown. Just reading this one, I feel louder sound. I actually read about this the other day as well. Puddle of Mud frontman Wes Scantlin, you know, Wes that we all love, that does the best impression of Kurt Cobain, obviously related, and who has been in the news the last couple of months for some serious out of control madness, prima donna material quite a lot. Anyway, Wes Scantlin gives a questionable performance before walking off stage early and verbally attacking the light technician at a recent show. Wow, who's shocked?
I mean, it must have been difficult for him. You know what it's like standing like on stage and you've got lights in your face and you can't really see anything. I mean, everything's so blurry.
Can you take it all away?
Yeah.
When you shove it in my face?
Yeah.
I actually really liked Puddle of Mud.
I mean, I do remember having the album when it came out. I think
it was
there
a
were
great tune.
Couple of tunes on there that... But then they had fucking wanky shit where they were clearly just trying to be popular. She Hates Me.
I know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at least they could write a decent tune. Like, I'll give him his due. It was quite a fucking alright song.
Yeah.
Sorry, if we were to sit down and go through Wes Scantlin's many accounts of eccentric public debauchery and misbehaviour, we'd most likely be here until the early hours of tomorrow morning. Which is why, when stories of Scantlin doing something, well, Scantlin-like materialise, they don't really come out as much of a surprise these days. Well, on November 20th, the Puddle of Mud singer was back at it again. During a performance of the Epic Event Centre in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Scantlin walked off stage early after verbally attacking the light technician for allegedly blinding him. Not only that, but prior to his meltdown, the vocalist, who'd already showed up late to his own show, could be heard singing with very little enthusiasm. To add to the awkwardness of the set, Scantlin also performed while holding his hands in front of his face to protect himself from the lights, even when they appeared to be off, sorry.
Yeah.
As the lights dimmed at the end of one song, Scantlin says, "I don't know why the lights have to be blinding me for this whole show. Now I can see all you people. But if you guys were standing up where I'm at right now, it's like a fucking flashlight blinking in your fucking head. And I don't think that's fucking cool, really."
It's just so easy to just turn to the light technician and go, "Hey dude, sorry to be a pain, but can we get these lights off because I'm really struggling to see?" Like what light technician is going to go, "Sorry."
Aye, even just the spots on stage could have been turned down and that,
Yeah.
like, let the backlight do the work.
Yeah.
Then, addressing the in-house light technician directly, he continues, and I say very eloquently, sounds like a fucking motherfucking idiot to me. Fuck you, motherfucker. Out of nowhere, here's another fucking douchebag fuck. I've got a flashlight too, motherfucker. Shut up, you dick.
I know.
After the fourth song of the night, Wes Scantlin walks off stage to the outrage and laughter of the audience. Following the show, multiple fans took to social media.
All 6 of them.
Aye. took to social media to express their disappointment and concern over the frontman's behaviour and to share videos of the performance. One fan wrote, "Puddle of mud, I sincerely hope that Wes gets the help he needs. This is one of my favourite bands growing up. That being said, my friends and I couldn't take it and had to walk out of your second song, making it the only concert I've ever walked out due to poor performance."
Sorry, I didn't. This wasn't me. I didn't
That's
say
not
this.
That's not even an accent kidding on, that was you. Behave. On top of that, you showed up half hour late to your own show. This was my second time seeing you, and it will be my last. Last night's show before Wes walks off in the middle of their fourth song. It's fucking ridiculous, to be fair, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
if you're that bothered, ask the light technician to put the lights down. Just don't throw a fucking hissy fit and then walk off after no really doing any effort.
Yeah.
Which I'm not surprised about. It's just,
I mean, I've not seen the clip myself, so let's
get it over and just get naked.
This man is absolutely fucked. It won't full screen.
what is going on here, man? Is this guy on his nut and crack or something?
Jesus. Yeah, the lights aren't on here. He's in darkness. What is going on here?
They're not even getting any applause or anything, which is,
That's actually
Fair.
a fair point.
why would you though? Fuck them. You don't go to a gig expect to see a band hear a guy going, is that fucking Leonard Cohen?
Lights have to be blinding me for this whole show. Help! Now I can see all you people. Fuck you, motherfucker.
Also, just go over and stand with one of the other band members, mate. Like,
I think Wes Scantlin's mentally ill.
Yeah.
I think he's on crack or something, or meth, because he's just got this bizarre, frightening, constant bad attitude.
yeah.
Prick.
Let's move on. Let's quickly do this story. Probably should have done this at the head of the show, but
Yeah.
let's do this.
See, what concerns me most about this is the actual guitar that's been stolen, not
Right.
necessarily the act, because it's a private stock.
Sure.
My understanding is the private stock are supposed to be like under lock and key and well looked after.
Yeah.
Because they're private stock. Anyway, Guitar posted on the 23rd of November, so that'll be like 6 days ago now. Guitar community, we need your help. Today, a PRS guitar private stock McCarty 594 Redwood Burl Top was stolen from our Camden store. This is one of our high-end models, and the theft is a huge blow to our company and hard-working staff. Please keep your eyes and ears peeled, as well as sharing this post to help us track down the responsible, or those responsible, so we can get our guitar back. Anyone who's able to provide information helps us reclaim the guitar will be rewarded. Thanks for doing everything you can to help. And then the serial number for the actual guitar. It's a very distinct PRS.
Yeah.
Not my cuppa, but that's not really the point, is it?
Yeah, no, I
It's
think
worth
there's
a fortune, I bet you.
there's essentially no there's no PRSs that I look at and go, oh, I'd like that, I'd love that.
I will give them their due that a lot of the inlay work, a lot of the configuration in terms of like how the guitar's built, I love the shape of them. I don't find them comfortable, but
Sure.
aesthetically I think they're really well done. And the finishes that come from PRS are often pretty jaw-dropping.
Yeah,
Jaw-breaking. Jaw-dropping.
couple of people pointing out that maybe it's time to invest in some Hercules locks. And I like this. Correct me if I'm wrong. The 3 people on your CCTV look somewhat out of place. Surely the staff would have noticed and kept vigilant and less distracted, or just not given a toss about what goes on.
I don't really agree with that. I think that's bullshit, because I've had customers when I worked in retail who didn't look the part that were
Sure.
buying stuff It's nearly Christmas.
Yeah.
It's a big retail store with a lot of different stock. They could have been
Yeah.
in being nosy or just
Yeah.
having a look. And to typecast people is a bit out of order. And I think there's maybe a wee hint of, not racism,
There
but
absolutely is, and there's comments that have been removed from this.
yeah, so okay, fair enough.
There,
So
there were comments on this about saying it's Romanian gypsies. That
I
guitar's
knew
gone.
that's exactly
Yeah.
where it was going.
Yeah.
You can just tell that's
Because
what's
of
going
course
to happen
the gypsy community is the one community that is socially acceptable to be racist towards.
throughout the world because they have no fixed abode, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm probably get killed for this, but there's obviously people who have legitimate negative experiences with people from these backgrounds.
Absolutely.
The problem is that the stereotype sweeps throughout, and then everybody just gets fucking painted with the same brush.
Yeah. Just on the note of guitar though, anybody's welcome in guitar. I will comment on my negative experiences of being in guitar, and I'm lucky because like I know Robert in guitar, who is always fantastic with me.
Mhm.
But Melissa hates going in guitar because she has said many times being I was going to say staunch feminist, but I'm not allowed to say staunch on the podcast anymore.
You can use the word staunch if you like.
Absolutely, yeah.
Militant's probably the word for
Militant.
feminist.
Well, I wouldn't describe her as militant, but
No,
yeah,
but
yeah, I know what
that's
you
the
mean.
perfect word to describe a feminist
Sure.
because it upsets them
Yeah,
and is
that's,
accurate.
that's absolutely true.
I'm a militant feminist.
She says that she has a noticeably negative experience when she's in a shop like Guitar. As a woman, no one really wants to help her with anything, and nobody really takes her seriously.
Why should she not just send you into the shop? You know more than her. You're a man.
But here's the thing, right?
I'm saying that because we're in a soundproof room. I know she would punch the
Yeah.
fucking head off me, same as Nancy would.
But what I pointed out to her is I don't think that she's not being taken seriously as a woman. I think that when you work in retail, when you work in a big retail place like this, you have to we're humans. It's what we do, right? We make snap judgments about people.
Mhm.
And if you're in retail and you're selling products to people, you need to make snap judgments about who's likely to buy something, who's the people that I need to be given the most attention to here, because I want to get a sale out of this person. And Melissa probably doesn't give off that vibe. The reason I pointed this out to her is I was like, babe, we've been in the shop because Robert was on the phone, so I couldn't get to him immediately.
Mhm.
We've been in the shop now for about 40 minutes, and nobody has come up to talk to me and ask if there's anything that I need any help with, despite the fact that we've clearly been wandering around and looking at guitars, right? And again, we've been here for 40 minutes. It's a long time. Somebody at some point should probably have come up and said, can we help you? Are you looking for something in particular? That's what should have happened, right? Why didn't they do that? Why do you think they didn't do that?
Because you were with Melissa?
Nope. It's because of the way I dress, right? If I'm out in public, I just don't give a fuck, right? So you absolutely know me. I would have been there in shorts and a t-shirt,
Mm-hmm.
in a big coat in the middle of winter. I would have looked scruffy as fuck, long scraggly beard, right? I just don't look like the sort of person that's going to spend a bunch of money on a guitar.
You've got such a distinctively dangerous accent as well. Nobody can trust you. It's not even your real accent. A Suffolk boy.
Yeah, I firmly believe that, right? I'm not given the same level of customer service when I go in somewhere like Guitar because I don't look like the sort of person that's going to spend a bunch of money, despite the fact you just don't know. Like, I could have bought any guitar in that shop. Like, not like if I want, like, I could have bought any guitar in that shop. The money was there to do so, and I was in there to spend the best part of $2,000 on a piece of equipment, but no one spoke to me. Why? Because I make snap judgments. Though interesting in this one, they didn't make snap judgments that people usually make, which is, some Romanian gypsies are in. Better keep our eyes on them.
My experience with retail and sales, music sales and otherwise, has always been that just approach a customer. Just doesn't matter what they look like, what they're there for, regardless. Just you need to be handy anything.
Make them feel welcome.
Yes or not? Right, cool. You know where I'm back here if you need me. My name's Mike, whatever.
Yeah.
Leave you to it.
That's such a great impression that you leave. And honestly, although if it wasn't for Robert, I'd never ever go into guitar because I never ever experience anything that I would call good customer service in there. I never feel welcome or that people are interested in the fact that I'm there and there to serve my needs, because that's what they're there to do.
But I also think there's a very fine line, because you and I are probably the outliers of that. The other 8 out of 10 that you would ask don't want to be asked by staff until they approach the staff.
Well, to be fair, I am that person. when I'm shopping, I do want to be left alone, but it's just an observation. I expect when I'm in a shop that somebody's going to approach me and I'm going to have to say, I'm fine. And that doesn't annoy me.
No,
I don't
that's
want to be
good.
badgered. But what you said there, where it's like you come over, you say, hey, how's it going? If you need any help with anything, my name's Mike. I'll just be over there. Like, that's good customer service.
It's the basic point of customer service. A person that comes into a shop is there to buy something, to ask a query, or just to have a look.
Yeah.
You ask them, can I help you? They will tell you whether they need help or not, and then you go, right, cool. Well, you know where I am.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Okay, we're going to move on. So this isn't really a news story, but it's interesting to me. D'Addario has all angles covered with the new Nexus 360 USB rechargeable headstock tuner.
I was nearly sick reading that headline there.
Yeah. I don't know why this feels like news to me or something that's worth talking about. I mean, I can tell you why this is news to me, because I've just built my pedal board, and there's a tuner on there. And I was thinking to myself yesterday, wouldn't it be great if there could be a way for me to not have to have that tuner on the board, because it takes up real estate, right? And I have a bunch of headstock tuners. I've got a bunch of the D'Addario tiny little clip-on ones.
Wait a minute, it takes up real estate. It's a fucking Polytune Mini.
It is, but you could get another mini pedal in there. I could put a mini compressor in there. You know what I mean?
But you haven't.
Because that's there.
And you've got a space already.
I also don't have a mini compressor yet.
So what you're saying is that you want to put other pedals on your board, but at the moment you don't have anything that fits or works on your pedal board. And you're angry that you might use a utility that could help you in that space at the moment. You grudge giving it space at the moment.
I mean, I'm about to buy the compressor to go on there. So
of course you are. But you've already got the space for that.
Yeah. That is true. But I could have something else small. I could have a small boost pedal, like the TC Spark, the Spark Mini,
as opposed to your Alchemy. That's probably one of the best sounding boosts I've ever heard.
I'm using that as in fact, I'll let you hear what I've got sound wise.
Yeah, please, man.
After. Anyway, I'm just bringing this up. So this is a headstock tuner. That's USB chargeable, and because to me, headstock tuners, the thing that bugs me about them is the batteries run out on them.
Because they run out of the most shit.
Yeah. I've got a pack of fucking batteries in there because I have when I first got a deal with D'Addario, they sent me like boxes of stuff, and they must have sent me 12 of those clip-on head tuners that I had on most of my guitars.
I remember you had the really low-profile small ones.
Yeah, and they're absolutely great. But the batteries on them, I think there was a fault. I think Elaine told me that there was a fault with the batteries that they sent out with them, and the batteries ran out very, very quickly. So she sent me a bunch of replacements, and I still have those batteries. But therein lies the problem. The batteries, you just constantly need to replace them, whereas a USB chargeable one, that's a good idea. I like that.
It is clever.
Is there a price on it? £30.
Here's where I'm at, and this is just me personally. I fucking hate headstock tuners. I fucking hate them.
Why?
I just hate them. I just think they look terrible, and they're not really all that functioning. The ones I've tried haven't been great, but to be fair, I've never went and bought one.
Sure.
The ones that I've tried have been the cheap ones that you get with guitar sets,
sure.
or like the Snark ones, which are good, but I just don't like them.
Yeah, I mean, for you, I can, like, we're in very different fields now.
Mm-hmm.
I can see a headstock tuner not being a good fit for you because you're moving.
I can see a headstock tuner not being a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Good effort, mate.
Fair point.
See, to be fair, you probably could get one there, and it would still definitely give you the resonance you need because you've got a full good kind of volume.
But you'd absolutely knock
here.
it off. You'd absolutely knock it off. And that's what the point I was going for, right? With the way you're playing, you play very aggressive, high energy music. You're moving around a lot and you're putting on a show. I can imagine you quite easily fucking either knocking it off or shaking the guitar around so aggressively that it fucking falls off. Whereas for me, I'm playing fucking. I'm playing I Want to Dance with Somebody, you know? Like I'm a banger of a tune. Yeah. I'm not having to run around like a maniac, so I'm not going to shake one off. So yeah, they kind of suit my needs. I would prefer the pedal. Yeah. Essentially, I fucked myself by getting a pedal board that was too small. But I've got the bigger version.
I don't understand you at times, man.
I know.
I love you to bits, mate, but Jesus Christ,
I like pedals. Okay,
you're an awkward human sometimes.
I know. I'm unpleasable. Speaking of being unpleasable, actually, no. How do I segue into this? Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm right. When I'm right, I love to say I told you so. Speaking of I told you so, Ozzy Osbourne postpones European UK tour with Judas Priest again.
I've never seen that coming.
Now into 2023. This man is not going to be alive in 2023. I just don't see it.
Don't you dare talk about Ozzy like that. I don't mind you saying that this tour isn't going to happen. Don't talk about him dying. Come on.
I mean, no.
We do not talk about a man's death like that. Not so flippantly.
I have to, and the reason I have to is this is something I have to mentally prepare myself for.
Is that you like building your
I have to
fortitude?
Because otherwise it would just come out of nowhere and I'd be shocked and devastated.
Aye.
Like, and I will be shocked and devastated when it inevitably happens, because Ozzy Osbourne is my musical hero. Ozzy Osbourne is still my desert island artist, even though I'm not like up on the metal thing anymore. If I was stuck on a desert island, I'd just go off of Ozzy's solo albums and that would be enough for me. He's my absolute hero. But yeah, 2023, pushing it out to 2023. When were these initially booked for? Because I know Andy Torrance had tickets for them, right?
Could have been 2019, maybe beginning of 2020.
Yeah, maybe 2019 sounds about right. So postponed by 4 years. 4 years. Mm-hmm. Just think of this, right? If you live an extremely long life, that's still 5% of a human lifespan. Postponed by 5% of a lifespan. Good work.
It's not so good.
I'll allow you to read the statement though.
Due to the ongoing uncertainty with full capacity events and travel logistics in much of Europe, we have come to the difficult decision to postpone my 2022 tour to 2023. Original tickets remain valid for the new dates. I want to thank all of you and Judas Priest for your continued patience and support.
Just as an aside, I hate little things like that. I want to thank you and Judas Priest for your continued patience and support. You don't know that you've had patience and support, right? It could have been an overwhelming, you're taking the piss now.
Implied middle management, retail, people-pleasing shit language.
It's trying to encourage you to be patient and be supportive. You can't thank someone for something they haven't done yet. And I would imagine
that's
most people are probably annoyed by this.
Oh, who wouldn't be? I mean, being annoyed won't change it. But does that make a difference that you've waited 4 years to see a tour? No.
Would you like to go and see Ozzy Osbourne in Glasgow on Sunday, the 4th of June, 2023?
As much as the people that bought tickets to see him in 2019 would. So they probably won't.
I mean, the strange thing is I'd like to see him even more now because Zach's supposed to be out on the road with him, right? So
yeah. So really you want to go and see Zach?
Yeah, I want to go and see Zach. There's no,
yeah.
There's no arguing with that. Let's do, how are we doing for time? Yeah, got a little bit of time. Bin that off. Don't care.
Yep.
Okay, Jacob Collier comment. I thought this was outrageous, right?
I don't think I've actually read this, which is... Oh, man.
I'm very vocal about not liking Jacob Collier's music. I think that Jacob Collier is the most gifted musician on the planet. Just outrageously gifted musician, an outrageously accurate ear and understanding of harmony at a level far beyond his years. I'm going to go further than that. Not just the most gifted, musician on the planet. I would happily say probably one of the most gifted musicians that's ever lived. In terms of the level of accuracy to which he can hear music, the level of accuracy to which he can create music.
The understanding he has of it as well.
Yeah, and so I'm not going to fault him for that. He has all of the superpowers in the world when it comes to music. But I just, aside from his, covers of things that he does, the vocal a cappella things, and even then, if he started releasing more of those, I wouldn't be interested because, cool, I've heard 10 of them, I've heard all of them. Yeah. You tell me the song that you're doing, I can imagine how it's going to sound here, Jacob.
I do like his vocal covers, especially when he'll take Stevie Wonder, don't you worry about a thing, and then all of a sudden there's this kind of weird Latin jazz part in the middle.
Yeah, and actually when he was nominated for and won more Grammys last year, me and Melissa argued about it because, again, I don't like Jacob's music, but I said he's absolutely deserving of Grammys. You have to put him in the Grammy conversation because he's pushing boundaries. And Melissa's like, but he hasn't written anything that sounds worth listening to. He hasn't written anything good. And I'm like, you know what? I absolutely agree with that. I think his music is far, far, far beyond what the average music consuming public is interested in consuming. It's not for me. It's just absolutely not for me. I think that it's the Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. Jacob Collier has spent so much time concerned with what he can do with music. He has not thought about whether or not he should.
That's a really good quote.
Yeah, it's so unbelievably...
I don't even think it's that. I think he's so advanced. He doesn't realise that he's so past the mark of what is like the normal line. like if you were drawing it in the sand, like this is most people's tolerance for music would be pop music, right? And let's say jazz is over here. Jacob Collier like sits a bit here.
Yeah.
Normal days,
Yeah.
and then when he wants to push it, he's like a way past you. So for this normal versus real normal, such a gulf.
It's so strange to me because based on his knowledge of music, when you listen to him talk about music and demonstrate his level of understanding of music, and also the music that he writes, it just sounds so on the spectrum. Is the only way I can describe it. It sounds like ridiculous levels of high functioning autism. Like with just you know what I mean? Like how it's just a full command of things, and he's very scatty in terms of like, oh, we've got this sound and then this sound. So many things being thrown together, and it's masterful. But you don't get any of those vibes when you listen to him speaking about things. So he's a fascinating individual. But the quote is, Jacob Collier, I think that unless music is fundamentally simple, it doesn't really move anyone. You know what, Jacob? You are absolutely right. I think you need to read that quote back a few more times and really think it through. Because I want to like his music. Let me be clear on this. I want to like his music. There's that he did like an 80s synth poppy type thing.
Is that the one that kind of changed the beat?
There was
the
him
chorus?
and a girl doing a duet thing and the dancing hands and things. And I put it on like for Melissa and wanting to love it. And there were moments of I was like, oh yeah, it's a cool groove, cool pocket. But yeah, it just was skitty and jumped around so much. It's like, again, you're doing what you.
I think he's just got such an excited brain for music that he doesn't know when to reel it back.
Yeah.
See, most people will be like, you talk about people that play in the pocket and then people that are playing to the music and then people that maybe just like, I know where to put in the finesse and whatever else. His brain's so busy. Everything has to be 100% all the time. And like, even the videos of him on YouTube where he's showing you his Pro Tools sessions and stuff. Fucking hell. There is no need for 175 layers, 65 of them being one vocal line or something, you know what I mean? There's no need. Other than to say you can.
I'm not going to go through and read this whole interview because it's a big long interview, and I
think we've hit the nail on the head.
A lot of it is plugging the Shure stuff because he's now an ambassador for the Shure headphone things. I noticed that one of his tracks has been synced in a Royal Mail advert though, with all of his washy vocal, harmony things shifting around, and I'm like, that's a strange choice there.
Here's what I would like to see from Jacob. To be honest, I'd like to see him write music for a film or for some sort of.
I don't think it would work. And the reason I say that is because this Royal Mail thing, I immediately knew it was Jacob Collier. It took me out of the advert and I could identify Jacob's sound, that I wasn't engaged with what the advert was trying to tell me. Jacob's sound, if he's using his voice, is so instantly recognisable to me that if it was in a film, I'd just immediately be like, oh, that's Jacob Collier.
But I mean, even see if it was like a short film
yeah.
and he did the music to go with it.
Yeah.
I think he would do a fantastic job if he was telling the story.
Yeah.
But without that impetus to work to, I think his brain's too busy.
Yeah.
Everything has to be mad layers and even the simple bits are fucking 75 part harmonies.
Yeah. Here's the other thing that with Jacob, I mean, I think he's like I say, absolutely a force for good in the music scene. Yes. I think he's an inspiration, and I think, like I say, absolutely deserves to win Grammys and things like this. I just don't like any of his music. I think that the good that he's doing for the industry is great because people are taking an interest in a lot more music and harmony and how it works and the function of things. And interesting thing with Jacob is he's never doing fundamentals lessons. He's never talking about like how a scale is constructed or how a chord is constructed. He's more giving you like esoteric ideas about music. And having said that, though, people they need to put in more time to really understand the things that Jacob's talking about. And actually, you've used it as a buzzword on the show before, and you hear a lot of people talking about buzzwords because they've seen a 60-second clip of Jacob Collier, and there's not a full understanding of what he's talking about.
I've no doubt that I will know how I have done it many a times.
Negative harmony?
I was just going to say negative harmony.
Yeah. Such a buzzword on the scene.
I've heard him talking about it and it gets me really curious, but I'll be totally honest, I don't have a fucking clue what that means.
Sure, and I think that is the case with most people. They hear the term and it's then just something that you can put out there as something because it's a part of the musical zeitgeist of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to.
I thought zeitgeist meant time.
Yeah, that's why I'm confusing myself. I wanted to say if Jacob was here right now, he'd be a lot more eloquent about this.
Yes, he would.
Yeah, so I guess it's the same. I get what I'm saying about negative harmony is as an idea. It's the same thing. Just because something exists, does it mean that you need to be venturing down into it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so much. Let's go with weakness in everybody as musicians. That we all have so many weaknesses in our playing that we could really be benefiting from working on the fundamentals of our playing and improving the fundamentals, rhythm. Like, sort your fucking rhythm out. Almost every student I have, one of the first things we can, without even listening to them play, it's going to be, we can absolutely work on your rhythm. You can absolutely make your rhythm playing tighter. We can get you locked into the groove a lot better. We can improve your ear. Like if you can't hear a chord progression and go, that's a 1-6-2-5, and not even say the words 1-6-2-5, but hear a chord, and you can do this like an absolute boss. Hear a chord progression and just at your guitar go, oh, it's there, going to there, going to there, going to there. Like, what business have you got talking about fucking negative harmony? What business have you got worrying about negative harmony when you can't hear the one chord going to the sixth chord?
I can actually imagine the one going to the sixth. That's the best part.
Yeah.
My example for that would be if it was a minor sixth, would be My Hero.
You know, I'd go, just because I mentioned it already.
C sharp minor.
I've already mentioned it on the show once today. Let's do it again. I Want to Dance with Somebody.
With a wee bottom bass line.
It stays on the one.
Yep.
Into the one chord. Goes to the sixth chord. And then goes back. Not back to the one.
It does go back to the one at one point.
At one point, yeah. There's a 5 chord in there.
In the original, in the intro, sorry, it does that. It just goes between the two, but then it goes into the chord progression. You're right.
Okay, just in time for Christmas, Deftones Cannabis Collection is here.
I mean, it's quite funny. The last 3 stories we've had about the Deftones have been Steph Carpenter with his not insane, sorry, that's not fair, far-fetched theories on the world.
Yep.
Chino saying, gave him a hard time, man. Gave him an easy time, sorry. He said a hard time of it. Let's just lay off him. Not only has he been consciously and consistently imbibing his body with drugs, he
embalming his body,
embalming his brain, but he also went through quite a horrible tragedy that we need to understand would have had an effect on his psyche, no doubt whatsoever. But number 3 is metal band Deftones have announced the launch of their own marijuana products, including buds, edible gummies, and some disposable vapes.
This is absolutely fascinating, isn't it? Because it's just the shift in the Overton window, the culture change, right? There is a time, not in the not too distant past, where you would have to look at a story like this and go, huh, Deftones are drug dealers now, you know? Commercial drug dealers, fantastic.
It's only drug dealing if it's against the law. Clearly they're doing it in places where it's allowed.
Yeah.
So therefore you're just a dispensary, I think is the terminology in the States, isn't it?
Yeah. But again, fascinating to launch a line of merchandise that there are places where you can sell it and places where you can't sell it. It's a fascinating time we live in.
I think they get the bit that gets me the most as well. See if you look at this image.
This image.
Right?
I'll bring it up for people.
Yeah. This looks like their album merch, really quite distinctively.
But that could be a CD.
Yeah, but the back box says Deftones Cannabis Collection.
Yeah.
Like, I've got no doubt that at one point somebody's going to get one of these in their Christmas. Like, hampers like, oh, I love the Deftones, Mum, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't listen to this. What machine does this go into, Mum? And holding up a cart full of fucking THC.
Yeah. I have to say, who's a guitar.com with the tagline, a high point for the band's merchandise line.
Well done, Cillian.
You're getting a salute from me on that one.
Will I quickly read through it?
Yeah, go on.
There's only 3 paragraphs in there.
Yeah.
The band have previously offered fans Deftones beer and tequila, however it's their first foray into the more smokable side of things. Throughout our career, it's been an ongoing mission to provide our fans with quality products. Whether it's music, beer or tequila, we put in the time, care and effort to make sure we're delivering merchandise to the market that's been thoroughly scrutinised by all of us. The obvious next step in the progression is cannabis, they wrote on Instagram.
I have to jump in here and say, whether it's music, beer or tequila, at no point did you go T-shirts.
Which is mental, because they've actually got a really nice merch line. They've always been good at marketing themselves that way. The cannabis has been produced in partnership with Golden Barn, a California-based company that produces CO2 extracted cannabis. First edition of the line is packaged in the passenger box, a reference to a track from their acclaimed 2000 album White Pony. The box is branded with the pony from the LP's artwork. guitarist Stephen Carpenter gave an overview of the passenger box, also on Instagram. It's a video you can watch. Nah, you're all right.
So yeah, if you're interested in going getting some some Deftones Weed, fantastic.
There's so many. You know what? I think the next two things that are going to make musicians like rich.
Weed. You think weed?
Weed's one of them. What's the other?
Are
And I don't like it, and I'm sure you won't either.
you going to say NFTs?
Yes. Non-fungible tokens.
Yeah.
The rights to a picture that you don't actually really own.
Yeah.
Please don't screenshot my NFT, bro.
Yeah. It's
Shut up.
is a comedy one. Though it's interesting. I don't think any bands in the past have ever gone down the route of branded banned tobacco.
I think you
Interesting
would
that weed
really,
is the one.
think you'd really struggle to get into the tobacco, considering how tightly lobbied it is and how it's owned by, I would imagine, maybe 3 brands.
Sure.
Really owned by 3 brands.
Let's move on. Let's do this.
Wait a minute. In fact, did Slash not have some sort of sponsorship with Lucky Strike?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So that's probably the closest I can think of that.
On the we're about to do this low fidelity Adele record today and why you'll take CDs and like it, right? I don't know if does this delve into the Taylor Swift debacle?
Oh, but the people not understanding the difference between 33 and 45 RPM?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is in there.
It is.
Fantastic.
As a wee laugh.
Fantastic.
So that, I'll start off. This came from Decibel Magazine. This was posted by Mike Mayo, friend of mine from Waiting the Cadaver. Go check out their newest album. It's fucking ridiculous. Mike posted this and was just like, this is a great read. And it is. It's just like an op-ed. It's just this guy's opinion on what's going on with the music industry and how Record Store Day is a lot of shite and how it's been, yet again, taken over by big companies and it's just fucking over people for more money.
Yeah.
And how, essentially, the dead medium, as we've spoke about, the genuine dead medium that was record players are now somehow coming right back into fashion because it's the one that can make you a lot of money. But the problem is, it's not the small artists that are getting, the ones that kept it alive for so long as an enthusiast extra are now being pushed clean out of market because people like Taylor Swift and Adele are actually completely locking up all the production facilities. There's only 6 or 7 of them in the world.
Yeah.
But they are flattened and you're talking at least 18 months to get something out. At least. And then the knock-on effect. Then talking about like cassettes. Are cassettes going to make a comeback? Well, they are kind of, but they're also another dead format.
Yeah.
They're not as cool as LPs, but people are still doing it. And even now onto CDs, and how fucking CDs are getting a bit crazy as well. Like, and just basically just like dissecting the trend. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like,
Yeah,
why are we
there's
allowing
this,
these people to do it?
It's really interesting because we talked about it on the show 2 weeks ago where I was like talking about producing more Melissa Kelly and the Smoking Crows CDs for sale. And thinking to myself, well, do people buy CDs anymore? And I think the answer to that is no, but there will absolutely come a time in the next 10 years where CDs will be in vogue and they'll be vintage, and I'll be able to, I should probably get those CDs pressed now. Vintage Melissa Kelly and the Smoking Crows albums.
A good idea.
Fantastic.
A timepiece. So the beautiful thing about this,
Yep.
so if you scroll back down just to where it was like, just above that image,
Yep.
sorry, right? Pardon me, this paragraph kind of perfectly set the full thing. The record pressing plants just cannot keep up with the major label hunger for releasing this shit on a format they themselves declared dead and buried not even 20 years ago. That sentence in itself was just like what we've been saying.
Yeah. And so I made reference to this Taylor Swift thing, which I have thoroughly enjoyed. The new Adele record is apparently expected to be the highest selling vinyl record in years, if not ever. Millions of the fucking thing are being made. And I have to say, I love the writing style of this.
It's great.
Millions of the fucking thing are being made to keep up with demand. And the new Taylor Swift, it's a fucking 4 LP set. The only plus side is that it's pressed onto 45 RPM and our fans have no fucking idea what kind of sorcery this is. And here we have some reviews of people that have clearly bought this album and then gone to review the Target exclusive vinyl and are playing it at 33, right?
Clearly.
So
But
getting
they
a
don't know that.
slowed down version of it with detuned pitch and everything.
By the way, the version of Jolene at 33 when it's meant to be 45 is fucking tremendous.
I will I've brought them up for people so they can see them. But Mike, could you read these and could you do impressions while reading them, please?
1 star, not happy 2 days ago. Why is there a man singing every track? What is happening? Kayla 2 days ago. I am super confused right now. Bought the Red Taylor's version vinyl at Target and some man is on it singing every song, not Taylor Swift. Please help. Confused. Megan. Mine is a man singing every track. 1 star would not recommend. Doesn't sound like Taylor. This is Carolyn. Does anyone else's vinyl sound like a man is singing? Like it doesn't sound like Taylor at all. My other vinyls sound right. Red TV. Horrible pressing. Picked up 3 different copies and they are all slow and have a deep voice. I don't know if it's only the Target version, but this was a huge disappointment. You went and bought 3 fucking copies of it, contributing to the problem that we have. There's an artificial fucking need here, all because you don't understand there are 2 speeds of fucking LPs. Fucking Alex, just phone up whoever your internet's with. I'm going to assume you're American. It'll be Comcast. Get them to cancel it and just live as a fucking husk in the woods. Go away. Really, you people are cluttering up what's already a dead shitty format for people that might want to make money on it.
Yeah. But Taylor can make money on it, so
Yeah, that's
and clearly a lot of money because their fans buy 3 copies, just assuming one of them was dodgy.
Why would you not take it back and be like, something's not right here? These are probably the 2 biggest examples of why the shitter's full at the plants and why half the records being put into queue right now for smaller bands will probably only come out years after they've broken up. You see this shit on Wayfair commercials where a bunch of 30-something white people all dressed in sweaters are all sitting around listening to vinyl while drinking wine. The people buying vinyl in bulk now are the same people a few years ago whose music collection was a few soundtracks and maybe a greatest hits collection.
Yeah.
So
That does feel a bit gatekeepy, though, I have to say.
well, I mean, it's coming from Decibel Magazine. It's going to be gatekeepy. It's the underground voice to some degree. Just while it popped up there, Kaelin's video on fucking Tom Hess.
I cannot comment for legal reasons.
Of course you can't. You know what I mean? It's you've not even seen it.
Yeah,
I have.
Yeah.
Oh, spicy.
Yeah, the other vinyl thing is strange, and it's stranger to me that we keep fucking having to talk about it. It's
I know, man.
absolutely bizarre. But yeah, it's always fun to see young people not understanding how the old was, how things were back in the day.
How soon until somebody's got an LP player installed on their dashboard in their car?
Oh, that would be the
MP3s, you fucking poser. Bzzzt, fucking LP comes at the disc.
Okay. What about a portable record player that you put in a backpack?
Was there not an episode
people
of The
can listen
Simpsons
to it
where
while
Homer's
going
got loads of shit in his car? He's got like a cooker and all that. Has he not got like a fucking LP player in the front?
Homer's had everything at
I know.
one point or another.
Get in there.
That is the show for you guys. So, did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string, I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at both Ormsby Guitars and Rev Amplification. I did see that on the Ormsby store there is a killer deal going on a Richie Allen signature. With a slight blemish on the 24th fret.
Ooh.
So go and grab yourself a deal. Check them out on I was going to say on Instagram, but no, go to their website, check out their store. And Christmas is coming, so maybe go and pick up a Rev pedal. You'll find something that you enjoy. Maybe get a G8 gate. Cool. Anything you want to add, Mike?
Thanks very much for listening. I'm glad I could come back. I'm glad I'm here.
Glad you're alive.
Yes, I am glad I'm alive. I will be at work for Monday Night Guitar Geek Club as per fucking usual, but I might be able to tune in. We'll wait and see. Please send us some prompts, some shit, abuse, laughs, stories, questions, fake moral outrage, real moral outrage, moral and philosophical questions, and whatever.
That's actually a fair point. Like when it comes to writing stuff in for the show, it doesn't even have to be positions that you hold. You can take a devil's advocate position and just give us something to talk about. We are happy. We enjoy that. So
we're two white cis males. We like the devil's advocate, unfortunately.
We were going to. We could have talked about Brian May and the mental shit that he's come out with this week, because I'm sure that if it would be Brian's opinion that a couple of years from now the Guitar Souls would have to, and I will quote this one, have to have a trans. Mike, until next time.
Brian May's lost it.